So recently we had an open studio event here at Mana Contemporary. It's where my studio is. And it got me thinking about the kinds of studio visits we have, and as artists, how we're able to kind of modify how we do a studio visit so people can learn things in a way that makes the best sense for what they do. And I've broken this down into kind of 3 different groups of people that routinely have studio visits with me, and I think it might make a lot of sense for everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this. So, we've got to give props right off the bat to Hennessy Youngman, because if you're a young artist or an artist who's even been around for a number of years, you've probably seen Hennessy Youngman's studio visit art thoughts video. It's funny, it's possibly truer than anything else anyone can ever tell you, and it's really irreverent, and you'll love it. This video is going to be a little bit different than Hennessy's, and I think that's okay. So like I said, we just recently had a big studio event where our whole building was open. This building at Mana Contemporary has about 300 studios, and I would say about 150 to 175 studios were open during that time period, and it draws a lot of people in. You know, just under 5,000 is the number we're always told. So it's a lot of folks coming through, seeing your work, kind of talking to you about your work. And it realized that there's kind of 3 basic groups of people you've got to work with. And the first is what I like to call the general public, because it's the general public, and that's why we call them that. They're people that may not be art collectors, but they follow art, they like looking at art. They might bring their kids, it might be like a family day for them, but they're truly interested in seeing all the new things that people are doing. Will they buy? Doubtful. But you know, people do buy at these things, and it's not a bad thing. More often than not, people are buying homes and thinking about how they might decorate them, and they might come in and buy a piece or 2 from you that way. And it's a longer kind of thing, but it does work for folks quite a bit. Anyway, how do I set up for a general audience? Basically what I do is I try to turn my studio into more of a gallery space. It's still a studio. I've still got like my roller cart of paint and stuff like that around. But anything that's not finished, I kind of tuck away where it's not going to get damaged or get anyone dirty. I'm going to hang finished artwork on the walls. I'm going to hang it properly on the walls. You're going to be able to walk in and see, in my case, maybe 8 or 9 pieces of art of various sizes and of various styles. And you're going to be able to talk to me about them. You're going to be able to see them, how they look on the wall, how you kind of relate to them with your body, the whole 9 yards. And people have a lot of things to say. Don't take too much stock in it, but listen to people who have good things to say, and you'll know when they have good things because they'll say something good, and then they'll either compliment their work or say, "I'd love to have seen something like this," and it might be something in the back of your head, so you never know what comes out of these. But that's the basic general studio visit, general thing. Kind of treat your space like a gallery. How long are people in here for something like that? 10 to 15 minutes, tops. 15 minutes is a really long time for one person to sit looking at 7 pieces of art when they've got 100 other places they want to go see. And they might have a kid tagging along. Be nice, be cordial, give them your card if you've got cards ready. You should have cards ready for this. And it's that easy. Do you have to have beverages or snacks or anything? For a big general one like this, I don't, because I know that the building has taken care of that. Right when you walk in, they'll have food trucks and they'll have a bar and stuff like that. If this is a thing where your studio building is smaller, maybe it's a studio building of like 8 artists, maybe you'll have something in there. But again, I would keep it simple. Cold waters, maybe a bottle of wine, maybe. Fruit, cheese, and crackers. Simple, easy to clean, stuff that you'll want to eat if no one touches it throughout the day. The second kind of visitor we get are designers. And I keep designers very different from art consultants because they're just different enough where they have to be handled a little bit different. A designer is doing a studio visit purely as a business situation. And what I mean by that, it's like they're going to get up from their desk, they're going to grab their purse or their coat or whatever, and they're going to go to their car or take the subway, and they're going to come to your studio. And they're going to come to your studio because you have sent them probably some JPEGs that they've liked, and they want to see the work up pan before they recommend it to their client. So for them, this is purely a business thing. So what do you want to do? You want to have those pieces out. You want to have a few pieces in reserve because you don't want someone walking in, taking a quick spin around, going, okay, I've seen everything, I got to go. Doesn't really work that way with designers. They want to see the work. They want to know that like the edges are clean or the edges are fully painted over. They want to know, can they get the work framed? Do you frame or do you know framers? They probably usually have a framer they prefer to work with. There's a number of questions that go down that way. Also with designers, understand, since this is a business thing with them, it's probably going to be the main designer or the principal of the design firm. It might be a junior designer, and it might be someone there to take notes or just an assistant. And very often on top of that, it's going to be, for a residence, it's going to be probably the couple. And for a business, it's probably going to be the CEO and then someone they trust. So it could be anywhere from 5 people to 3 people, depending on how they're doing that tour. And be prepared for all of that. If you're not prepared for that, it's going to cost you a little bit, mostly in just compressing everything really tightly. Here's what kind of happens with designers. They kind of come in. They tend to be just a few minutes late, anywhere from like 5 minutes to 15 minutes. It's not a big deal. They've spent their morning or afternoon trying to get everyone together to get out to your studio. Be kind, be generous, and just acknowledge that they might have been a little behind schedule. They'll say something to you about it. Let it go. Don't even let it bother you. It's totally fine. Bring them in, show them your work, show them some other work, show them some new things so they kind of see that your wheels are always turning. You never know what they're going to like. You never know what they might change. These studio visits with designers will be anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. They rarely go longer than that because they've got 4 or 5 people that they've got in tow. They've got to get them all back to work. They've got work to do. Listen, coming out to your studio is not like something they have to do. It's something they need to do. And so they've got other things to get back to that day, because if they're in the middle of a project speccing artwork for it, that means they're in the middle of a project doing everything else that designers do to get those places ready. So you've got to be understanding that they're not going to have a lot of time to waste. Offer them coffee, offer them tea, offer them water, a little bit of snack. Maybe, maybe not. That's really up to you. But if you're going to offer designers tea and coffee, understand that they're going to come in with maybe 5 people. You can't do 5 pour-overs and make everyone wait 20 minutes as you get everyone's coffee put together and goes that way. It just doesn't work. Very often, though, you'll see the designers come in with a Starbucks cup in their hand anyway, and it won't matter. So, plan ahead and be gentle and kind, and always, be prepared to talk about everything. It really pays off in the long run. Lastly, the other kind of studio visit we have are with galleries and art consultants. And this is especially true the first time a gallery comes. Like if I've had a few shows with a gallery, I'll just plop them in and give them some coffee, whatever, and we'll show the work and they'll come and go, and it's a quick meeting. But if it's the first time a gallery is meeting with you, I like to handle this a little bit differently. I might have 2 pieces of art up on the wall for them to see. Other pieces of art will be kind of turned away, because the first thing I really want to do is I want to show them a couple pieces, and then I want to get them over to a table where I can show them sketches and things in my sketchbook and really talk about my process and where the work comes from. If you can kind of get people understanding where the work comes from, and then see, they can actually literally see how the work starts and how the work finishes up on the wall, then you can bring more work in. And you bring more and more work in, they start to see where everything kind of falls into place. You can even go back, if you're really in tune to it, see in my sketchbook here where I'm doing this, you can literally see where that becomes part of this painting or what have you. And it becomes part of a dialogue about how your work is made. It gives your designer, and it gives your art, not your designer, it gives your gallerist, and it gives your art consultant ways to talk about your work inside of a larger kind of sales pitch, for lack of a better way, larger understanding to the people they're dealing with about how your work is, what it does, where it's coming from, and how it can work. It's a really powerful way of working, and it's really one of the best ways to do it. Always have coffee, tea, water for these folks. Some people have baked goods. I gotta be honest, I think that's lovely. But baked goods at in a real important studio meeting, while it's I feel it's a little bit needy, a little bit cloying, I would avoid it. Again, keep food and snacks simple. With a little bit of luck, all of you will go out to lunch right afterwards. And that's a better time to break bread and that kind of thing. And it takes it out of your studio. Those are basically the 3 ways this works. One thing about these meetings, these are your longest studio visits. They'll take up to about an hour. Let them run long. Let them run as long as anyone wants them to. answer all the questions, show them all the things, show them the back of the painting so they can see like it's linen or it's cotton, they're on stretcher bars or on metal stretcher bars, or whatever they need to see. All of this comes into play at some point down the line. Let them have all that information, at least initially. They'll probably forget some of it and ask you later, but that's okay as long as they can see that you're thinking about those things. So that's the basic 3 kind of studio visits I think are important in an artist's life. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I appreciate you watching all the way to the end on this. I'm always shocked that people do. And if you like this kind of thing, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.